Hello, greetings, good morning, and welcome to Archaeosoup Towers on a fine January morning. Now, today I'd like to just take a moment to share some updates with you, to consider some upcoming videos you will be seeing here on Archaeosoup, to ask something of you, but also crucially, I'd like to begin by introducing to you our new website sponsor. Now, this announcement is long overdue. Technically, I've been being sponsored by them since sometime in December, but time and life and frankly a slightly annoying rash on the face got in the way of talking about them sooner. So without any further ado, I'd like to announce our new website sponsor is Inari AIS, and AIS stands for Archaeological Information System. With the Inari Archaeological Information System, AIS, documentation gets much easier. You can enter all information about contexts, features, finds, and more directly without paperwork into your system. The files and the information are then linked so you can find everything you need instantly. The interface is of course customizable so you can keep your documentation consistent, and it is available in several languages with new ones being added all the time. Now, I first came across Inari a few years ago. They actually reached out to Archaeosoup because they liked what I do here, and and they invited me to be their date to the prom. Sorry, to the CIFA conference. A couple of years ago, you may recall, I did a little video diary from the conference, and I was there as it were the +1 or whatever on their stand. So I got to sit down and meet with them face to face, see what they do, how they work, how they think, and I was mightily impressed. And this actually is where we move on to the second part of this video, in so much as they will be featuring in at least one of the upcoming videos that I have planned. I'd really like to film an interview with the head of Inari, just to talk a little bit more about an information system, how these things are useful for archaeologists, and also a little bit of background on where they got the idea from and this kind of thing. So that's one of the upcoming videos that you'll be seeing on Archaeosoup. Later this week, I'm going to be working on an in focus video to do with the Bayeux Tapestry, which is strangely timely. Recently, the Bayeux Tapestry has been thrust into the news because supposedly there's been a deal made where France will be lending it to Britain for a little while. It's coming home, as some people are saying. So yeah, strangely timely, but literally I did not know about this deal. So I think it's nice. It's nice that the French government have noted my plans and are working with me on the timing. That's good. Tomorrow I'm going to be filming a sort of follow-up with Adam Mead from the Eston Hills Archaeology Project. He's actually doing a presentation, so I'll be filming his presentation, filming a bit of additional footage, and that may be 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 videos. We'll have to see. Depends on what he has to say. But of course, it'll be interesting and well worth paying attention to. In the very near future, I'll be revisiting the Meet the Archaeologist series. The interviews kind of tailed off a little bit towards the end of last year. That was partly because the Halloween, for example, and then into the Christmas season just gathered pace. But also, actually, as you know, I wasn't feeling 100%. So there were a few interviews that we lined up that I've shifted to the beginning of this year, and there are a few other people who I'm going to be contacting soon, but also actually re-interviewing. So, for example, we're trying desperately to line something up with Cara Cooney in February, but it's just a case of getting the diaries to mesh, if you see what I mean. So that is very much in the pipeline, and there are a few, lots of other things, but there's one thing in particular that I'd love to sort of hint at, and that is that we may be exploring my DNA in an upcoming video. That could be cool, but I'll leave it there because we're just beginning to explore that project. But I'm quite excited at the prospect of not only talking about what my DNA results mean, but also crucially what they don't mean. Now, don't worry, I haven't forgotten. about the Archaeosoup Top 10 video. When we reached 10,000 subscribers on this channel, only a few weeks ago in fact, and we're now at 13,000. It's been quite a growth spurt. I feel like a teenager all over again. When we reached that point, I wanted to make a top 10 Archaeosoup videos video, sort of almost like a catch up, a prepper, a cheat sheet for people who are new to the channel to see what you guys thought were the best videos that we'd done over the past 7 or 8 years. And I'm happy to say that we did get lots of responses to that. And you may recall I was going to be giving away 3 bottle opener trowels. Well, I have contacted you, and so far I've only heard back from 1 of the 3 people I've contacted. So I'll be sending out messages again this week. But if you want an bottle opener trowel, then please do check your inboxes, check your comments and responses and replies to see if you've been approached, because I really want to give away those 3 bottle opener trowels. So check and reply. So the short takeaway from that is that soup is a comin'. We're always making more soup, and there's always more to dole out. So be ready with your bowls. Now, oh, actually, speaking of which, I didn't even mention. For example, I'm currently editing a video where we have 2 osteologists, a duo of osteologists talking about examining skeletons. So there's all sorts of things coming your way soon. Now, if I can, let me just, I'd like to be serious for a moment. I'll just put on my top hat. Because I'd like to talk to you about Patreon. Now, in all seriousness, I would like to take a moment to talk to you about Patreon. As I said, when we reached 10,000 subscribers, I have revisited our Patreon campaign. I've certainly made it simpler, and to be blunt, I need to be more honest and open with you about Archaeosoup's need of support at the moment, and also for the foreseeable future, I'm afraid. We do just need your support, especially if you love and enjoy what we do. A little bit of support would go a long way at the moment. Now, there are a few things that come to mind. First of all, you may be thinking, you've just announced a sponsor, Mr. Soup. You know, I mean, how ironic. But the thing is, the sponsor helps with the website costs, servers and maintenance and this kind of thing. Doesn't help with the day-to-day. Certainly doesn't help much, anyway, with the day-to-day. And there is a significant day-to-day cost to what Archaeosoup is and what we do. And for the most part, over the past couple of years, we have just about been covering ourselves. But that is becoming harder and harder. Now, there's a balance going on in my head at any given time, and in fact, in the past couple of months, I have been closer than ever to just packing up Archaeosoup, to saying, okay, well, this is the legacy. These are the videos. You got 1,000 or whatever in total Archaeosoup videos. I need to go away now. I've been very, very close to doing that. But whenever I do come close to doing it, not only do people say, no, don't do that, but also this balance comes back into my head. And the balance is as follows. I really passionately believe in open public access to good ideas about the past. And that's one of the reasons why, for example, the YouTube channel has never been a subscribe to service. You know, a few years ago now, YouTube made it possible for me to sort of lock off content and say, you must pay for these videos. But I don't want to do that. I've never wanted to do that, and I will not do that. I refuse. So there's that sort of desire to have this stuff just open, and you guys can watch it wherever, whenever you want, for whatever reason. You know, I mean, you guys often get in touch saying that you use Archaeosoup videos, for example, in your teaching. Well, with that in mind, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider supporting us. Because the other side of this balance is that these videos cost to make. Especially the videos, for example, where I go down and visit an archaeological site, or where I set up an interview with someone in a university that's halfway across the country. I need to get the train ticket or drive the car. It costs money. And at the moment, all the margins have been shrinking. And it's just become more and more difficult. And it's no, like I say, it's no exaggeration to say that I have seriously considered having to stop. But I don't want to have to stop. I do love doing this, and I love you guys as well. So this is where support would be great. And all of this is in the context, especially in the north of England, especially in the northeast of England, of just a squeezing of all the margins. The economic situation here is very difficult in general. People are no less hungry, no less eager, no less excited at the prospect of workshops or videos or pop-up thingies or talks or whatever it is that we're trying to organise, or or community projects. But there is such a tightening of all sorts of purse strings that people who I will never meet, in fact, are feeling the squeeze, and that just gets passed on down the line, and it just makes it harder to go from concept to delivery to being paid for concept delivery across the board. For example, I was only yesterday, in fact, paid for some work that I did back in November. It's all just getting more difficult and ultimately a lot more stressful. Now, I'm not going to rabbit on about this for much longer, and frankly, I don't plan on making another video about it. I'm going to keep it relatively quiet, but not quite so discreet as I have done in the past. So, for example, you can expect on future Archaeosoup videos maybe a brief little invitation to support us on Patreon at the beginning. But this is really because I want to continue to do this thing that I love so much, and that seemingly people love as well. I mean, for example, the other day I was invited up to go and film Neolithic archaeology on Orkney. New sites and this kind of thing. But I can't afford to go. I just can't afford to get there. As much as it would be amazing, and to take this camera up on up to the tip top of Scotland and film there, I just can't afford to. And that's the most extravagant idea that I have at the moment. Frankly, at the moment, really, it's all about meeting day-to-day costs, just day-to-day living. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's that fine line, isn't it, between feeling like you're begging and feeling like you are inviting people to support a service, to sort of subscribe. And that's kind of what I would like to leave this on, in so much as please consider, as it were, supporting, subscribing, contributing to the soup that we all seem to be enjoying. And of course, the moment I'm bringing in enough money that I don't need to be supported anymore, I will of course let you guys know, and you can cease whenever you want. Now, I am, believe me, completely aware of the fact that there is an irony here, and that is that most archaeologists and people who are interested in history aren't billionaires. In that sense, I am a poor archaeologist asking other poor archaeologists for support and help. I get that, I really do. And if you want to support Archaeosoup, for example, on Patreon, but you simply cannot, you don't have the spare cash, you just don't have you just can't do it. I get it. Believe me, I get it. And so I'm not expecting everyone to support Archaeosoup in that way. And in that sense, just by watching these videos, just by contributing to the conversation in the comments below, you are part of this wonderful soup that we're in. But I figured I needed to be honest about this. And actually, yesterday I was sat down with the wonderful Rob Young, an archaeologist at Newcastle University. We were having lunch, and he bought me a sandwich, and we were talking about some related issues. And he said, ultimately, it is strange because we have a passion for archaeology, but we also recognise that archaeology isn't the most important thing in the world. As he was saying, he would rather see people supporting the NHS and helping, for example, cancer research than supporting archaeology. But we're both archaeologists, and we do rely on various forms of the public purse, or jobs coming in, or in some cases, generosity of others. So I had to mention it. There we go. It's done. But ultimately, the final part of this video is to say a big thank you. Just a thank you for watching Archaeosoup, for having been part of that soup so far, and for, you know, continuing to be part of the conversations and the growth of this YouTube channel. And I appreciate it. I've always been surprised by the fact that people find Archaeosoup useful and interesting. But it's a nice thing to be every day pleasantly surprised by how much people like what we're doing, or what I'm doing. Anyway, guys, that is the video. We have a new sponsor for the website. We have things coming your way in the near future, and hopefully you'll consider supporting us on Patreon. As ever, until next time, do take care. Bye-bye.